name of this story is Emma and Lila. The old brick school building stood tall and hot as the last bell of the day rang and all the kids came flooding out the doors, running into the buses and cars that came to take them home. Two little girls, sisters, named Emma and Lila, waited on the sidewalk, pushing, shoving, and giggling, waiting for their mama Carol to pick them up while all the other kids ran wild around them. It wasn't long before they saw the old 1964 white four-door Chevy Impala creak and moan as it rolled into the schoolyard and took its place in line with all the other cars to pick up their children. The two little girls waited for their mama to pull up and began to arguing about who was going to sit next to the window and who was going to sit next to their mama. When the car came to a stop in front of them, the door was open and the fighting continued until Mama said, "All right, that is enough. Y'all both get in the back seat. Y'all both can sit beside the window and stop fighting." They slammed the front door, opened the back door, and got in. Emma, a fourth grader with brown hair worn in a ponytail with blue eyes, was 1 year older than Lila, her sister. Lila, a third grader, had long red hair parted in the middle that fell just below her shoulders. They were both skinny as rails as they fought for position in the back seat. Mama asked as they all got settled, "What did you two learn in school today?" Carol, the mother, an attractive tall woman with light brown hair who always tried to look modest, wore her hair in a low bun. Emma said, "My teacher says that I'm one of the best readers in the whole class." She stuck her tongue out at Lila just to rub it in. "That's great, Emma. What did you learn today, Lila?" Lila said, "The teachers told us today that we should listen with our ears, but also with our hearts, that we can learn more that way, and that our heart has a way of understanding what someone is trying to tell you." "That sounds like a baby. Just hush," Emma said, and then reached over and pulled Lila's hair. "Stop, Emma," Mama shouted as she turned around and popped Emma on her knee. "How many times have I told you to stop picking on your little sister?" Carol was distracted for just a second, trying to separate the girls arguing in the back seat, and ran through a stop sign. Crash! Another car ran straight into the side of the 64 Chevy Impala where Lila sat. Lila was killed instantly. Carol and Emma survived almost without a scratch, but Carol was never the same after the accident. Back in 1968, they used to bring the dead home for the visitation. A funeral home had retrieved the body and made it right for burial before they brought Lila back to the house and placed her in the living room between the two large windows in front of the fireplace. Most of the family sat up with Lila's body that night as a sign of respect. The adults told Emma to go to bed, but she was scared. Emma had shared a bed with Lila for most of her life and asked pitifully if she could leave the door cracked to let the little light enter the room. She got into the bed, pulled the covers up, and noticed that from the way she was laying, she could see the head of the casket and also see Lila's red hair and little white forehead showing as her little sister lay peacefully in the little wooden box. Emma closed her eyes as tight as she could and finally drifted off to sleep. In the middle of the night, she felt a little hand pushing on her, and she heard the words softly, "Emma, Emma, wake up." Emma opened her eyes and saw Lila standing there. She jumped back to the far side of the bed. Emma said, "Lila, what are you doing here?" "I don't know, I just woke up. I don't know what day it is or the time. I don't know what is going on." Emma asked, "Are you alive?" "Yes, I'm alive. I think I'm alive. I just don't know what is going on. You gotta help me." Emma said, "Lila, I'm so sorry, but you have passed on. You should be in heaven. Lila said, what are you talking about? Lila, you died yesterday in a car accident. Your body's in the casket in the living room. Lila looked confused and said, no, that can't be so. Show me. Emma got out of the bed and walked out the door. Through the small group of people walked up to the casket and Lila standing right beside her. They both looked into the casket and saw Lila laying there, peaceful. Lila looked at Emma and asked, is that really me? Emma didn't say anything. She just turned around and started walking toward her room. She looked back and saw Lila standing beside the casket, her long red hair hanging down her back, looking at her own dead body. Emma crawled back in bed, laid there unable to go back to sleep. The next day they buried Lila. For some time after the funeral, Lila would come back to visit Emma during the night. Lila would wake Emma up, always asking, what is going on? What's wrong? In a quiet whisper. One night Emma got scared and told Lila she needed to go away and stop scaring her. Lila got angry and scowled. What do you mean, leave you alone? What if it was you dead in that ground instead of me? Emma begged. Just leave me alone. You're scaring me. Lila slowly turned, walked away, and closed the bedroom door behind her, leaving Emma in the darkness. Emma shook with fear, pulled the covers up over her head, and cried herself to sleep. From then on, she never talked to Lila like that again. Each day after school, Emma would ride the bus home, only to find her home quiet and her mama, who never recovered from the loss of Lila, sitting by the window gazing out into the emptiness. Emma would see the little red-headed Lila standing beside her mother, whispering in her ear as she would walk by the doorway of her mama's room. When Emma walked into the room, Lila would just stop whispering to her mama and walk into another room and disappear. Emma didn't know what to do about what she was seeing almost on a daily basis. One day Emma asked her mama, do you ever feel like Lila is here, like she really never left, like she is talking to you? Mama replied, sometimes I do. I feel like she is whispering right into my ear sometimes, but it isn't things I want to hear. Emma asked, what is she saying? I think, but I'm not quite sure, that she is saying the car accident was all my fault. And to tell you the truth, it was all my fault. If I would have just stopped at the sign, Lila would be here. I would try hard to understand her, but some of the things she was saying aren't quite right. They're awful things. I just wish she was at peace. This continued for quite some time, until one day Emma came home and found her mama sitting in the living room, apparently looking where the casket had been. She saw Lila again, whispering into her mama's ear. As Emma entered the room, Lila walked away, staring at Emma as if she hated her, until she disappeared into another part of the house. Emma walked up behind her mama, placed her hand on her shoulder, and said, Mama, Mama. She walked around in front of her and noticed that her skin had turned into a bluish color, and her eyes were wide open, covered in a milky haze, looking at the place where Lila had laid in the casket. But now the life had gone from her. She was dead. She ran out of the house to the neighbors and told them that she thought her mama was dead. The neighbors came and found Carol's lifeless body. The neighbors said that she must have died of a heart condition or heartbreak earlier that morning. The funeral home folks came to get the body, but returned it the same way they did Lila. They brought Carol home and placed her in the casket in the same place they had placed Lila, right in front of the big fireplace between the two big windows. The family again sat up through the night in respect for the dead. The adults again made Emma go to bed, but she asked if she could leave the door cracked. So they did, and the light shone in her room, and she could see the head of her mama's casket as she drifted off to sleep. Now there was nobody for Emma. She didn't know where she would end up, since her daddy had run off years earlier. In the middle of the night, she felt a small hand pushing on her and a voice whispering, Emma, Emma, wake up. Emma opened her eyes and saw Lila. Lila said, Mama is dead now, and she is with me. Emma started crying, and Lila asked, Do you know who I am? Emma said, You are not my sister. Lila said, No, I'm not. She's in the grave full of rot. My name is Whisper, Spirit of Hell. When your heart hears my voice, it will stop and never tell.